basketball, and the Lobos of the University of New Mexico, a first-place battle at the Pit in Albuquerque. High-altitude house, all on CBS. And this one was for a very generous portion of all the tamales, those spicy red hatch ones. Nom. Steve Perez, Louis Weiner long momentarily, Aztecs all in. It was the 100th all-time meeting. San Diego State trailing the series 47-52 overall and just 13 of 32 at a very tough venue, the Pit. And it's the Aztecs who are stuck at 13 wins at the Pit. They fall in the closing moments 81-76. Lobos thus get a heaping helping of those delicious, spicy hatch chili tamales. Meanwhile, the Aztecs, they get to scoreboard watch as their longtime rivals, the Lobos, dating back to those days of the Western Athletic Conference, the WAC, man. Aztecs look on as it's the Lobos who have a chance to win a regular season title. Aztecs, as Lewis will explain in a bit, they came in tied for the top spot thanks to a win earlier in the week against Utah State. Hey, of course, as we mentioned, fighting to improve their road record in the Mountain West, but no, here's how it played out. Halftime score, San Diego State 37, New Mexico 36. A razor-thin one-point edge for the visitors. A back-and-forth physical first 20. Aztecs jumped out strong lead early, building a 20-12 lead on a 10-0 run, highlighted by Miles Bird's breakaway two-handed dunk after a steal. Bird breaking free for the emphatic finish. But the Lobos, coached by former UC San Diego leader Eric Olen in his first year in Albuquerque, they answered, powered by their crazy home crowd. Jake Hall, the freshman sensation out of Carlsbad High, a nationally renowned three-point shooter, averaging 16 points a game, he drained a deep triple to spark a Lobos push. Lobos, of course, long-time history of bullying with their inside game. This year, it's fueled by the big man show Tomislav Buljan, 23-year-old freshman in scare quotes, out of Croatia, double-double machine, bullied the Aztecs inside for position, racked up 10 first-half points, 8 rebounds, banging bodies around, grabbing putbacks, drawing contact. Drama, too, in the first half. JT Rock tangles with Taj DeGorville inside, got tagged with the flagrant foul for a hook and hold, but the homers yelled, "Ball don't lie." DeGorville misses both free throws. Aztecs could have used more makes from the line in this one. 59% from the free throw line in this game. Lobos, meantime, steal a page out of the old Aztecs book. They made 25 of 30, meaning they made more than the Aztecs took. Aztecs only had 22 chances at the line. Still, Aztecs had that lead in the first half, but you know, that old chestnut. College basketball, game of runs, momentum, etc., etc. Lobos closed the half with a 17-7 run. More Bullion bullying his way to the rim. Luke Hopt adding a 3. B.J. Davis keeping the Aztecs ahead, hitting 3 of 4 from the field, including a deep 3 of his own. Though he did have one ill-advised behind-the-back dribble into the key against a solid defensive unit. You may have been able to pull that off in high school, but not at the Division I level. He turns it over in a game where every possession needed to count. Both teams huffing and puffing at altitude, lots of energy expended in a high-stakes showdown for the conference lead. Aztecs winning the defensive battle, mostly forcing tough shots and grabbing 14 defensive rebounds, but they can't fully contain the Lobos' interior presence. Points off turnovers favoring the Aztecs, but overall a draw. Dutcher's crew clinging to that slim 37-36 lead at the break. Half 2. Absolute grinder at altitude, wearing on both sides. Aztecs, though, as we mentioned, coming from sea level. The fouls piling up. The lead swinging like the basket of a hot air balloon on a windy day in Albuquerque. Aztecs' 1-point lead vanishes, and it is nowhere near enough as the Lobos come out with more firepower on defense and more banging on offense. Lobos' big man, 23-year-old, again showing those scare quotes, freshman from Croatia, Buljan. He imposes his will early in the half, 14 points, 10 rebounds post-break. He finished with game highs of 24 points and 18 boards, including 9 off the offensive glass. Bullion, a man among boys inside, driving, dishing, crashing the glass relentlessly. Aztecs looked a step slow defending the 3-ball and struggled at the line. Overall, 13 of 22. And to me, the difference in the game. This game, though, stayed tight. Multiple ties, one-possession battles throughout. Miles Bird kept the Aztecs in touch. He scored 11 of his 17 points in the half, including a big 3 late to tie it at 74 all, about a minute left. B.J. Davis, Goon, Elsie Harrington chipped in with double figures on offense, but again, to my eye, Aztecs shots looked labored from fatigue. They went cold from the 3-point range for stretches, 0 for early in the half. They finished overall 3 of 12 for the half, 9 of 31 for the game. Fouls stacked up. Reese, Dixon-Waters held in check offensively. RDW, Tay Simmons, Miles Heidi, Harrington hampered with 4 fouls each. And that put Lobos in the double bonus with around 6 minutes left. The home team builds a 5-point cushion on Bullion's interior work, and then Luke Hopt, an overlooked Division II transfer from Point Loma Nazarene, he drills a clutch 3 outside 3 minutes to push it to 4. By the way, if you hear any banging, that's the rocks clicking around in my head after watching this game. At any rate, Bird answers with another 3 to get within 1 at 3:48, but the Lobos respond, coming up with either another triple from Hopt or key buckets to reclaim the edge. Oh, that's a banging in my head. Just Mountain West nail biter. I wasn't there at the game, but I still have a headache from watching them play at elevation. So yes, classic close nail biter down the stretch in the Mountain West. Aztecs would stop a Lobos push. They'd force a turnover or 2, but UNM answers each time. 35 seconds left. Tay Simmons stepped up and hit a pair to make it a 2-point game with 30.9 seconds remaining. There was some peak drama closing with the Aztecs pressing. The ball ends up out of bounds, called for the Lobos originally, but the Aztecs challenge it because the replays did look favorable to the Aztecs. But the call originally stands as to the Lobos. The call in front of the hometown stands. The clock, though, reset to 31-8. Coach Olen burns his last time out after following flummoxed inbound attempt. Then there's a volleyball inbound featuring Bullion. He helps the home team get to the line, burn clock. The home team perfect from the line. In those closing moments, they seal the win. Here's the voice of the Lobos, Robert Portnoy, no complaint, about the game's closing moments, courtesy 96.3 KKOB, Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Luke finds Hall in the corner. Jake catches, 2 seconds, 1 second, and a foul. 0.3 seconds on the game clock, and Jake Hall will shoot free throws, and you can book it. The Lobos have the win that they needed over San Diego State, and New Mexico still controls its destiny with 2 games left to win its 2nd consecutive Mountain West regular season title. First free throw for Hall. Good. 14-point for shot fake Jake. Missed it. Doesn't matter. Game clock expires. Lobos 81, Aztecs 76. The final in the pit. San Diego State's last visit as a Mountain West rival of the Lobos, and New Mexico knocks them off 81-76.
And then later, the voice of the Lobos talked to Olen about the classic pit battle. The Lobos bulked their free throw edge, late execution, proving too much.
You know, as a team, I thought we scrapped out some rebounds, made some plays. You know, we won the possession game, which obviously we had to do because it wasn't our most efficient night, which is a lot of credit to their defense, you know. But, yeah, just an awesome performance from our guys. Yeah, you know, we know it's a 40-minute game. There's, 70 to 75 possessions, both sides of the ball each time. And, our guys are understanding and really trying to. I mean, we're not perfect. We get, it's an emotional game, so nobody's perfect. But, we're really understanding that it's one possession at a time, especially this time of year. these last couple games in kind of who's going to make the plays at the end, we're just going to keep it being in competitive environments, with the schedule we have left, with the postseason where nobody gives up on games. We're putting ourselves in a good position, and we're preparing ourselves for what's coming. So, feel great about the result, and, just proud of our guys.
For Coach Brian Dutcher, a tough road loss in the final regular season clash at the pit before the Aztecs leave the Mountain West. Longtime foes from the WAC head to the pack, man. In the end, New Mexico gets the statement win, keeps the pressure on for their chance at the Mountain West regular season crown. There was better results from the Aztec earlier in the week, as we hear from colleague Louis Weiner. Louis?
Steve, the Aztecs put together what Coach Brian Dutcher called probably their most complete game of the season to defeat Utah State at Viejas Arena Wednesday night, 89-72. But early on, the game looked a lot like a replica of the disappointing loss days earlier at Colorado State, where the Rams hit 13 three-pointers. Utah State missed its first three-pointer, but then within just a minute 30 span, boom, boom, and boom. Back-to-back-to-back threes from Adlin Alamine, MJ Collins Jr., and Alamine again. And just like that, it's 9-4 Utah State with 16 minutes left in the first half. But this time, the Aztecs were able to adjust defensively, and the Aggies made just one more three the rest of the half to finish just 4 of 17 and just 1 for their last 13. After losing 2 straight, this was a must-win for the Aztecs, who had lost just 3 straight under Dutcher just once before, way back in 2018. In fact, the only other team with a longer streak without losing 3 straight in the nation is Gonzaga, which dates all the way back to 2011. The Aztecs caught a huge break just hours after Saturday night's loss at Colorado State when Utah State lost in Reno to Nevada, meaning the Aztecs remained just a game out of first, with the Aggies coming to town with a chance to tie for the conference lead. And that's just what the Aztecs did. The Aztecs handed the Aggies their largest loss of the season while shooting lights out, 55% for the game, including 61% in the second half alone. While the Aztecs, when healthy, have been playing an 11-man rotation most of the season, Dutcher played just 10 this game, with Jeremiah Oden being the lone man out. A healthy Elzia Harrington was back in the starting lineup, which meant 6-man extraordinaire B.J. Davis was back coming off the bench. And while he played just 14 minutes, they were an effective 14 minutes. Davis scored 8 points, grabbed 2 rebounds, had 2 assists, with a solid plus-minus of plus 12 in just those 14 minutes. Reese Dixon-Waters led the Aztecs with 20 points, 15 of those in the first half. Magoon Gwath had a solid game, 9 points, 9 rebounds, and an assist, including a banked 3 at the halftime buzzer to send the Aztecs to the locker room with a 13-point lead. You'll recall just a week earlier, the Aztecs had a 4-point halftime lead, 33-29 over Grand Canyon, but let the Lopes back in it with a sluggish start to the second half, and they ended up losing that game. But Pharoah Compton said the message from Dutcher at halftime was don't take your foot off the gas, and the Aztecs sure did rev it up the start of the second half, thanks to Miles Bird, who was scoreless in the first half, but he hit a 3 and a driving layup to push the Aztecs' lead to 18. They'd lead by as much as 24, but never allowed the Aggies to get into any sort of rhythm, keeping that double-digit lead the rest of the way. There was an abundance of energy in the arena thanks to the enthusiastic sellout crowd, the show harassing Utah State's Carson Templin all night long, and on the court, Tay Simmons bringing the energy. With his performance on the court, 11 points in 13 and a half minutes on 4 of 5 shooting, 4 rebounds and an assist, and him playing cheerleader all day long, enlightening the crowd. Dutcher talked about Simmons and the team's performance after the game, along with Reese Dixon-Waters and Pharoah Compton.
And probably our most complete roster of the season. We had everybody healthy and playing. And that was good. I didn't play Goon enough against Colorado State. He didn't practice basically for 2 days. And so he's got to practice hard in order to play. And I told him yesterday, if you get through practice and you practice hard, I'll start you. Because we're not going to be as good as we can be unless you're on the floor. And to get them back on the floor was a major lift for the team. And then having LZ getting back into shape, BJ coming off the bench and igniting us. We're at full strength again. So the bench was dynamic. Taj was dynamic, BJ, Tay. What an emotional guy he is. You know, igniting the crowd, getting dunks, making effort plays. So it's a really complete game. I think we shot 54% from the field, 60 in the second half, 43% from three. Got beat by 15 rebounds at their place. I think we beat them by 8 today. So a complete game.
I mean, I just feel like I was aggressive from the start. You know, I feel like I missed a lot of shots I normally make like my dribble pull-up and a few layups or floaters. So, you know, there's things I could fix, but I'm pretty pleased with how I played on the defensive end especially. I think I did a pretty good job. But I definitely wanted to set the tone offensively and just be aggressive.
Just playing our role. Just knowing that the first group is giving it all they got out there, and just knowing that when we come in that we got to do the same. Just toughness all around. Just knowing that we're the tougher guys, we're the tougher team, and that's how you win games.
And Steve, I can't forget to mention Taj DeGorville, who became the 6th different Aztec under Dutcher to record a game of at least 12 points and 8 assists.
Thank you, Louis. The Aztecs women hoopsters having a superb season for their part, clinching the regular season title earlier in the week, as Louis will relate momentarily. On this particular day in Viejas, a Saturday, the Lady Aztecs defeated Wyoming 70-51 on Senior Day. Lady Aztecs with just one conference loss. It came earlier this month in Phoenix against the Grand Canyon Lopes. 44-57 loss there to the Grecolopes. Conference losses, rare though this season for the women's team. Here's Louis with more.
Steve, the San Diego State women's basketball team is in the middle of a dream season, arguably the best season ever for the program. Under coach Stacie Terry-Hutson, the Aztecs clinched the Mountain West regular season championship Wednesday with a 66-64 win on the road over second-place Boise State to push their impressive conference record to 17-1 and 23-4 for the season. Terry-Hutson talked about what winning the title outright means to her.
It just kind of validates all the work that they put in. They have been working for quite so many months now. It started in the summer when we came together, and for us to be able to win it outright still is the goal for us.
Before the season started at Mountain West Conference Media Days in Las Vegas, Coach Terry-Hutson talked to me about reimagining Aztecs basketball. A new brand, so to speak, with more pace, more spacing on the floor to take advantage of her talented three-point shooters. And she was able to do just that, and the stats prove it. Last season, the Aztecs averaged 5.2 threes a game, shooting them at a 34% clip, attempting 550 from behind the arc. That was last season. This season, wow, the Aztecs are making 8.5 a game at 35% and have attempted 650. So 100 more threes attempted this season for the Aztecs. Looking more closely at why they're so successful this season, both this season and last, the Aztecs averaged just about 26 made field goals a game. But this year, 3 additional threes a game means a lot more wins. Coach knew she had the pieces, but could they gel all the way as she had hoped? This week, I asked if she expected this type of success this season.
Great question. And I would say I knew we had a lot of talent. I didn't know how quickly the talent would gel. And that's kind of the state of college athletics nowadays. When you have a new team every year, we graduated so much and lost a little in the transfer portal. So it was a definite. Like I said, we knew we had a chance. But when I saw this group come together and how quickly they were gelling and how hard they practiced and how hard they wanted it, I knew that this was a special team and excited to be able to see the fruits of their labor come to fruition and them have the success that they deserve.
Despite that 23-4 record and a net ranking of 69 nationally, the Aztecs are not guaranteed a second straight trip to the NCAA tournament unless, like last year, they win the Mountain West Conference tournament. So while still hoping for that at-large bid, Terry-Hutson says she understands the reality of the situation.
That was always, it was always a goal. And the schedule that we put together in the non-conference, I thought we put ourselves in a great situation to do that. But historically, this league has been a team, one bid league. So I'm not going to hold out hope for that. You know, our goal is to go ahead and win the conference tournament so we can take care of business and handle our own destiny. However, you know, the NCAA now has something similar to what the NIT is for the men, which is the WBIT. So there's another opportunity for us to play postseason basketball. But our goal is to cut another net down, and the only way we do that is winning the championship.
Unfortunately for Coach Terry-Hutson, like every other NCAA basketball coach in the country, the focus cannot just be on the rest of this season. There's the transfer portal that opens the first week of April, and maneuvering through who may or may not return to next year's roster and how to replace those people. And that is the reality of the times.
It's not my favorite part of this. It really isn't. But it's definitely something that we think of. But we're going to hope, you know, that we can retain with our culture, and we're doing our best to fundraise so we have the resources that we would need to help do that. But we have a strong culture here, and our girls love playing here in San Diego, and we're going to hope that we can keep as many as we can. And if not, we're going to do a great job in the portal getting kids that fit. That's going to be the biggest thing. Is money is, I know, is a big thing and everyone talks about it, but we need to focus more on fit. You can have a lot of great players, and if they don't gel together, you're not going to have the success. So we've done very good with finding kids that fit with who we are and what we're trying to achieve. So that'll still be the same thing. If we can keep the main thing and our goals consistent, I think we'll do okay. I'm in the middle of it right now, you know, trying to figure out how to do it. You know, I don't want it to be a distraction. We haven't had the sit-down conversations with the girls quite yet, but we have had conversations behind closed doors about where we'd like to go. But we're just trying to focus on beating Boise and, you know, then taking care of senior night, that type of stuff. So we're just trying to focus on the things that are right in front of us right now, but it's definitely in the back of my mind.
So, Steve, after the Aztecs wrap up their regular season schedule Tuesday afternoon at Air Force, they'll head to Las Vegas for their final ever Mountain West Conference tournament. Their first game will be Sunday, March 8th at noon against the winner of the 8 versus 9 seed game.
Thank you, Louis. A few more notes from Aztec land before we sign off. Aztec women's track and field Mountain West Indoor Championships in Reno this week. On Friday, it was Xiomara Young soaring to first place in the long jump with a massive personal best of 6.5 meters. Not just good enough for the gold, second best mark in program history. Dominant meet for the junior standout from Las Vegas. Young qualified strong, then unleashed her winning leap on her fourth attempt to claim the title, give the Aztecs their first championship gold of the meet. Turning now to baseball, need to mention a terrific statement win by the Aztecs baseball team. Defeated number 1 UCLA 4-3 Tuesday night at Jackie Robinson Stadium. Aztecs displaying power with 3 solo home run shots in consecutive innings. Anthony Marnell the 4, leadoff shot the 3rd. Tice Peterson giving the Aztecs the lead they would hold. Zane Kelly adding 1 in the 5th. Starter Alex Velarde's Arizona State transfer battled through 5 1/3 innings and got his first collegiate win. In relief, Aiden Russell locked down the final 11 batters, 5 of them strikeouts. Solid defense with highlights by Max Farrell and Adam Magbach. It's San Diego State baseball's first win over a top 5 team since 2028. So first-year coach Kevin Vance and his squad blending transfers, young talent, making a mark early in the collegiate baseball season. Aztecs at last check had won 2 of the 4 games set against Washington at Husky Ballpark. But local San Diego State baseball fans can mark their calendars for March 4th, a midweek return home to Tony Gwynn Stadium. A midweek clash against Long Beach State on March 4th, followed by a weekend series against St. Mary's March 6th through the 8th. Dollar for dollar, San Diego State collegiate baseball, one of the best deals in town if you love baseball. Finally, women's water polo. Friday at the Aztecs Aquaplex, the number 19 Aztecs water polo squad routes Santa Clara. Junior Mimi Stubas scores 6 goals in a Golden Coast Conference home opener. Time now to say goodbye to the nice folks. Louis?
All right. Thank you so much for listening. This will wrap up this edition of Aztecs All In. Please follow us or subscribe wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. You can also follow us on the X for late-breaking Aztecs news, Aztecs_all_in, or drop us a line, aztecsallin@gmail.com. So until next time, for Steve Perez, I'm Louis Weiner. So long.